Oh, hey, look, a clean S13. Oh, dear God. Oh, what about this S2000? Bro, what the? It's no secret that cars these days are insanely expensive. Now, I'm 28, making me an elder Zoomer, so I've witnessed many of these cars go from cheap, unknown shitboxes to overpriced garage queens that they are now. See, back when I got into the car scene around 2016, we had TJ Hunt coming out with some of his first vlogs, and Adam LZ was mostly still on a BMX bike. I mean, car YouTube was in the same stage that Call of Duty YouTubers were back when COD 4 came out. They didn't know it yet, but just a couple years later, Modern Warfare 2 would come out and create some of the first online gaming millionaires. The main difference being that when Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 came out, an Xbox 360 stayed the same price, and the cost of the games stayed the same price. Cars, on the other hand, mostly became completely inaccessible to an entire generation because of how expensive they became. Let me put this in perspective. We've all heard how easy boomers had it buying their houses. You know, they just went and bought their houses for 50 bucks and a bag of potato chips. And now that same house is worth about $1 million on average, at least where I'm from. Well, I bought this Miata back in about 2017 for $2,800. Now, the hardtop is worth about $2,800, not to mention the whole rest of the car. So in this video, I want to make 3 important points that will help you navigate the car market with the odds stacked against you. So the question you might now have is, if all the cool cars have been purchased already, you know, what is there for me to get? And that comes to point number 1, lower your standards. 90s Japanese and German cars are primarily the ones in this overhyped and overpriced category. I have owned 3 S chassis in my life, and the most that I have ever paid for one was $4,500. That being said, that exact car I purchased from a junkyard. I did not buy any of the nicest ones that were on the road. I found this listing for a factory 5-speed 1997 Koki S14 about 20 minutes after the listing went live. It was from an auto dismantling yard that knew that they were gonna make more money selling it as opposed to scrapping parts off of it, at least the way they would do it. That created a great opportunity for me to be able to go and buy this car for an insane deal. All it ended up needing was some glass being replaced, couple interior pieces put back together, and some questionable bodywork. But the moral of the story is, I literally bought it from a junkyard in order to get a good deal. I put in a lot of extra legwork and a lot of extra effort, but at the end of the day, I was able to get into one of these cars for significantly cheaper than anyone just going and scrolling on Facebook Marketplace and finding the nicest one that's available that weekend. So if you have enough money to go buy a nice one right out the gate, go for it. But there are other ways that you can go about getting into one of these cars for a significantly cheaper price. Now, the second point I want to make is make sure the car you want is actually the car you want. This might sound confusing. It might sound like I'm about to try and convince you to get something totally different from what you have your eyes set on. And that's exactly what I'm going to tell you to do. I say this though, because it's what happened to me. See, now back right about when the world shut down a handful of years ago, I had this decently put together S13. I mean, it had a welded diff, it had a full angle kit, solid mount to everything. I had just blown the head gasket on it, so I put a new KA24 in it. It was nothing crazy and flashy, but it worked really well, and it was so much fun to drive. But back during this time, I found myself in a financial position where I thought I could upgrade, and that's what I did. I sold the S13, went and pooled the rest of my money, and bought myself a Nissan Skyline.
Oblivious people.
It was not a GTR at all. It was just a GTST, but by all means, this is an upgrade, right? I finally got into one of the most prized possessions of the JDM scene, a Nissan Skyline. I still, at the time, also had my Nismo 350Z, so I felt like real hot shit knowing that I had both of those cars parked back at home. But this was actually the worst decision of my entire life, and I genuinely mean that. I mean, buying the Skyline was great and all. I flew across the country with some friends, bought it, brought it home. Once it was here, I was able to show so many people what right-hand drive is like. This was a turbo car, whereas my S13 was naturally aspirated, so that's always more fun.
What the dog doing?
But there was just always something missing. Eventually, life caught up to me and I had to start my career. To do this, I needed to buy a work truck, which meant in order to get the money for a work truck, one of my cars had to be sold once again. Believe it or not, I kept my 350Z. I sold the Skyline because there was something about it that just didn't suit me correctly. I did not like it. It was a great car. I guess I wouldn't say I didn't like it, but I did not like it as much as that S13 that I had, that I put a lot of work into and made a lot of memories with. Here we are about 7 years later, and honestly, I do not miss that Skyline. It was fun while it lasted, but I miss that S13 way more. To the extent that I know, even if I bought another S13, it would come nowhere near being just as good as that one that I previously had. Even if I did all the same modifications to it, there was just something special about that car that I could not replace. So I definitely regret that car, and that's part of the reason why I've had my 350Z for so long. I'm terrified that if I sell it, I will never find a car that's just as good as that ever again. It took meeting my hero to realize that what I wanted was actually what I already had. So please just don't make the mistake I did in order to get into that next level up of cars. Really don't need it. And lastly, point number 3, think outside the box. So you want an E36 or E46 M3? No, you don't. Those are expensive. You want yourself an E82 128i. Sizing wise, the E82 is more similar to an E36 and E46. After the E46, 3 Series got really big. If you still want that small Euro car that puts out a good amount of power, a 128i is going to be plenty of fun. They're super reliable because they're so small, their power to weight ratio is pretty good, and they come with just a little bit more modern amenities that those older generations come with, and they're a fraction of the price. Maybe you want an S13 or an S14. Well, all the ones that are about $8,000 are complete clunkers, and everything about $20,000 has been completely gone through and built already, and who has $20,000, right? Well, a good alternative would just be to get a first generation FRS or BRZ. Both of those cars are gonna perform very similarly to a stock S chassis. The difference being, once again, it's a newer car. That's safer, better air conditioning, maybe you get nav in it, maybe you get a backup cam even. Those are all things that can be added to those old cars, but it just hits so much different when it comes on that car from the factory. Not to mention, they look good and obviously they're very popular, so there must be something about them that is still good. While we're talking about S chassis though, I'm gonna go out a limb here and say, I think an EcoBoost Mustang might be a good alternative to an S chassis. Now, I don't know a whole lot about these Mustangs, but I do know they come with that EcoBoost motor. So you get a 4-cylinder with a turbo, you can get it with a 6-speed, and people drift Mustangs, right? You should be able to throw an angle kit on there and have plenty of fun with it. Oh, or maybe you want an Acura NSX. Well, those are insanely expensive now. Honestly, about as expensive as Ferraris from the similar generation. Crazy, I know, right? Well, thankfully I have 3 different mid-engine sports cars at 3 different price brackets that you could get instead. On the lower end, you get a Pontiac Fiero, maybe find one of those for $10,000 or less. You get an MR2 Turbo. Those might be pushing more towards about 20 grand. And then this might be a crazy one, but you get a Lotus Evora for probably 40 grand if you do some, looking and find the right deal on one. And that can get almost anyone at any price bracket into an NSX-like car. I mean, it's really just a mid-engine sports car at the end of the day. Honestly, there's nothing special about an NSX versus something like a C8 Corvette. Just the C8 Corvettes are in that price bracket that an NSX is in. And then of course, it's a lot easier to get an NSX in a manual transmission. And don't think I forgot about you Supra kids. Look, I have spent a lot of time around Supra people.
Yeah, it's a whole event.
You gotta step in here.
Then show what's up.
My friend, Zach, he's had a couple Supras. I've gone to Supras in Vegas. I've been around Supras. All these people care about is the JZ. Most of these Supra guys don't even buy the car for the Supra itself. Maybe now that they're insanely expensive, but so many of these different Supra guys, they just build an SC300. an IS300, whatever it may be, and they do all the modifications to the JZ to make it super fast. I would any day recommend spending $10,000 or less on an SC300 or an IS300 and just build that. Throw a Chinese turbo kit on it and make it fast. You could blow that motor 10 times and you'll be in it significantly less than if you bought an actual Supra. Also, think about it like this. If the Mark V Supra is a BMW, similar to an M340i, both coming with the B58, if you throw a turbo kit into an IS300, it's almost like you have the M340i of that era. I don't know. Trying to appeal to you Euro guys. Now I will admit, it's really hard to come up with a replacement for a GTR. Something like the Skylines, there's just no real good alternative as far as cars that were sold here in the States. Maybe you could get away with a Subaru or an Evo, but even then most of those aren't too expensive, but at least you get that turbo, all-wheel drive, manual transmission. But as far as R35s, I can give some good recommendations. Just go and get yourself a Q60. I mean, it's the VR30 as opposed to the VR38. I know there's gonna be differences, but at the end of the day, it's more or less the same car. You can also get it with an all-wheel drive, or you know, if you want to shell out the money, you can go get yourself the new Z in a manual transmission. Both of those options, even a brand new Z, are going to be significantly cheaper than an R35 because, well, R35s really have not come down in price at all. If you don't want to get into an Infinity, I could also recommend maybe some kind of X-Drive turbo BMW, but again, I avoid Euro cars like the plague. At the end of the day, you might want one specific dream car because of how it looks. Might not even be based off performance. You might just really like how that car looks or some of the weird quirks about it that don't come on some of these alternatives. And that's totally fine. I'm not telling you to change what you like in a car. I'm just telling you these are some different alternatives that you could have fun with in the meantime while you level up in life and eventually are able to afford something else. And just like the second point I made, you might find that along the way, one of these cars actually suits you better than what you initially thought you wanted. So, moral of the story is just try a variety. See what you can get your hands on and have fun with it. You don't have to set your eyes on one specific car and make that your whole personality. Been there, done that. Thank you guys so much for watching. Really hope you guys enjoyed. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you're driving now and let me know what you want to drive in the future. Thank you guys again. Hope you have a good day.